Okay, if you remember yesterday, we're talking over here about the fruits that the land of Israel is blessed by. We're coming up to Tu B'Shvat soon, right? It's going to be when? Thursday. We're talking about the fruits that the land of Israel is blessed by, the fruits, and what we can learn about these fruits in serving God. So first of all, these fruits they come from the land. So it says the word land means Eretz, and Eretz Israel, and the word Eretz means to desire something. It says it's called the land. It says that the land of Israel is called Eretz Israel because it desires to do the will of God. Ratzon is also will. It desires to do the will of God. It also means Ratzon. Not only desires, but it runs. It gives us an inspiration to run to do what God wants. To run to do what God wants. And it also means the language of Ratzui, to be pleased. Pleases God. But one main thing about the land is it has to be worked on. And that's what the land of Israel is telling us. We have to work. Says the Rebbe, what is work? One place that work is described in the Torah are the 39 categories of work that are forbidden on Shabbat. 39 categories of work which were used to build the tabernacle, and the Torah tells us it was forbidden to build a tabernacle on Shabbat, as important as it was, but Shabbat is more important in this way. So you couldn't build the tabernacle on Shabbat. 39 works are forbidden to do on Shabbat, but they are 39 works which we should do the rest of the week. And also the Rebbe points out that this prohibition of 39 prohibitions is not doesn't say in the Torah 39. It says 40 minus 1. And the Rebbe talked about the importance of the number. We'll talk about 40 in a moment. We'll talk about 40, the number 40. But in any case, it means that by means of doing those works in the weekday and those plowing the land, working on the land, that's eretz, to work, as we achieve this number 40. If we receive a number of perfection. Okay, here we go. So, okay, we've discussed there's seven fruits, as you want to call it, fruits that the land of Israel is praised by, and it comes from a sentence which is in the book of Deuteronomy, and the sentence says that Israel is a land of wheat, barley, wheat, barley, grapes, dates, and pomegranates. Land. That's 5. Barley, wheat, barley, grapes, dates, pomegranates. Figs, pomegranates. So those 5 are 5 positive things we have to do. And if you remember yesterday, it's talking about working with your godly soul, with your natural soul, with to be happy, put happiness into it, to work on your thought, speech, and action, and to work in the world. Get out in the world. That's the mitzvahs, doing the world. Okay. And afterwards, the sentence, that's the land of Israel is praised with 7 fruits, right? So the first part of the sentence, after the first time it says eretz, there's only 5 types of fruits. Then it says the word eretz again in the same sentence, eretz, and it has 2 types of fruits. Okay, the second time it says eretz, who is hamakom shabo, stresses this is a place where there is done work, v'yagias adam, and eretz. We talked about that before. And when a person comes in this physical world, in a way of that a person is missing a little bit from godliness, that's what we said the number 40 is missing. Becharisha v'Zaria, you have to do the 39 works, 40 minus 1. That's what we said that Eretz means. You got to work. So therefore, it's understood. She'eretz as beit. The second time it says Eretz in this sentence. This is talking about avoda v'yagia, some sort of a work and a service which is deeper. Another type of service of God. What type of service of God is there? Torah and the commandments and fixing yourself up and your thoughts, speech, and action. Your work where you work. What's the next deeper type of service? This is made even a bigger profit. Like the difference between hayagia, the work that people make, the charisha of plowing in order to make your crops grow, the yagia and the plowing, a chafira, the work that you plow, befil in order, limso avanim, tovo de margalios, in order to find precious stones. If you're part of precious stones, then they have gold mines, they have diamond mines. You dig really down deep. It's a tremendous effort. To plow your field is also an effort, but not so much of an effort. You plow your field, how far down? 1 foot or something like that under the ground. If you was half a foot, and that's it. You finish. And some say in Israel you have to plow twice. Okay, but it's nothing like the digging that you dig to find treasures. And that's the second type of eretz. That's why the sentence says the eretz twice. The first is talking about regular, normal, good, positive service of the Creator, working on yourself. The second one is talking about, the second time it says eretz in the sentence, is also talking about working on the land, but this is talking about serving God in the time of exile. Golos. Shemitzad Golo, you read it because of the tremendous descent into exile. Yesh tzorach, there's a necessity, havoda v'yagia gadol yoter, a deeper and more, they say, a more difficult service of God. So therefore, nasagam aliyah, therefore the elevation is greater, and which is higher. But yet there says even more. One big thing about the exile is that you don't know what's good and what's bad. When the Jews, for instance, were in the land of Israel, so it was clear what is good and what's bad. True, people didn't always do what was good. That's why the temple was destroyed. But at least it was clear what is good and what is bad. The urge, the temptation to do bad was tremendous. It was great. Even that there's a temptation to worship idols, idolatry. They said it was incomparable to what there is nowadays. What is there now? Idolatry. There's the church. There's this. There's not such a tremendous desire of Jews going, even though there are Jews that are nuts that go for that, or they're ignorant. They're ignorant. In those days, there were Jews that they knew the whole Torah, and they knew what God is, and they still wanted to worship the golden calf or the Baal or all these other gamut of a whole big thing of idols. They got a kick out of it. It made them feel great, comfort, whatever. It was a real true lust that Jews had. They really had to hold themselves back. But nevertheless, everyone knew it was wrong. That's the point. It was clear. And nowadays, in the time of exile, there's this confusion. So even when you do know what's right and wrong, all of a sudden there's maybe I'm wrong, maybe it could be. It's not you doing it for your pleasure, you're just doing it from ignorance. So therefore, nowadays, the work that we do in the time of exile, doing Torah and commandments, is much more difficult. But says the Rebbe, the reward is greater. It's like digging for diamonds. And this is hinted at what it says the second time, Eretz, and it says Eretz is a land of Zeit Shemen Udavash. The second time it says Eretz, it has the last two fruits, which are olives and dates. Zeit Shemen is olives, and Davash is talking about dates. Zayit, olives, this indicates on mozon, on food, bofen shel mariros, bitter. Olives are bitter. Koloshin Chazal, like the language of the rabbis in the sentence, Ole Zayas Torah Bafia. It says that Noah sent a dove out to see if the world had dried up yet. If it dried up, and the dove came back with a olive leaf in its mouth, a leaf from an olive tree in its mouth. Somehow or other, I don't know how this came to be, but that's a sign of peace. I don't know. Anyway, but the fact is what is this sign? It's a sign of bitterness. It's a sign of bitterness. It says that the dove came back with a olive leaf in its mouth, and the leaves of olives are bitter. I don't know if you've ever done this. And there's in Kfar Chabad, a lot of people have olive trees in their backyard. I also have an olive tree in my backyard. An olive tree. And a couple of my friends, they said they brought over the olives that they made. Oh, it was nice, tasty. I'm not such a big olive fan, but nevertheless, it's very nice that they're tasty. So I had the olives in my, that would grow these nice big purple olives. Ooh, very nice. So I thought, well, those olives really tasted good. So I'll pluck one up right off the tree, and I ate it. So I did it, and it was terrible. I mean, it's just terrible. I didn't know that you have to process olives. You put them in like salt water. There's this whole process which you do, which I didn't do. Maybe I should have actually done it, but anyway, I didn't do it. And so what's the point? The point is olives are bitter. So that's the last. I mean, in all, according to all opinions, olives are not sweet. Maybe the people like olives, but they're not sweet. Olives are not like all the other fruits, like dates and pomegranates and grapes and things. Those are sweet. Olives are not sweet. So olives, in any case, they are bitter. It says, oh, so what was the thing with the dove came back? The dove said, I've been in the ark here for 1 full year. You're great, Noah. You're great. You've been feeding us, and we got food every day, and we didn't have to work for it. Said, but enough. I'm not. This is my food should be bitter, like an olive, but it shouldn't be for free. I shouldn't receive food for free. I want to work for food. That's a bigger pleasure to work for my food, even though it's bitter, than to get it free. Of course, in the first couple of weeks or whatever, maybe the first year, everybody wants a free ride. It's a problem. But the fact is, deep down inside, it transforms you into being not human. There's no challenge. You become like a worm or something. You just, whatever pops up into your mouth, you eat. So it said, olives show on hard work, hard, bitter work. But then, this is also the opposite of something which is bitter for food, like the rabbi said in the Tanya, the Pirush Pasuk, Aseli Matamim, that Yitzchak said to his son Esav, go out and make for me tasty foods like I like. I'll eat it and then I'll give you a blessing. Yitzchak was blind, right? He said, make me this tasty food. I'll eat it. I'll be in a good mood. And then I'm going to give you a big blessing. And it says, matamim, make it. It didn't say make me tasty food. It said, make me tasty foods. And the Alter Rebbe says in the Tanya, in the 27th chapter of the Tanya, it says there's 2 types of tasty foods. Two types of tasty foods. And there's foods which are tasty naturally, but then there's also foods which are bitter or sharp. But if you know how to spice them up properly, then they become sweet and good. Until they become madanim, lehishiv nefesh, they become like delicacies that bring back your soul. Oh, I'm so glad I'm alive. I can eat this, whatever it is, filet mignon or whatever it is. The inyani ba'avoda. So there's 2 types of food: foods which are naturally tasting, good tasting, and foods which are bitter, but the chef knows how to transform them, to spice them up to make them tasty. This is 2 types of service of man. This is written in the Torah, right? That Yitzchak said to his son Esav. So if it's in the Torah, it's coming to teach us something. What is it? that this is coming to teach us that there's two types of service of God. One type is naturally good, easy serving God, like it's in the time when the Holy Temple. And there's another type which is very difficult, like in the time of exile. Then the service is very bitter, very difficult. You serve God and you don't feel the reward. Like it's explained in the name of Miriam. Miriam was the sister of Moses that saved him. Remember, he was put into a whatever is a teva, that the Paro made a decree to kill all the males, and his mother put him into an ark, whatever, put him in this little box or whatever, and put him on in the river. And his sister Miriam saved him. So it says another thing by Miriam is that she helped the women give birth. Paro made a decree that all the babies should be thrown into the sea. And so the women said, well, maybe we shouldn't give birth at all. And Miriam said, I'll help you give birth. She was one of the nursemaids. Shabalidata, and when she was born, that's when the real main difficulties of the exile began. When the exile began, when Levi died, it said that's when it began. And she was born right very shortly before he passed away, Levi. So it says that's when really the bitterness of the exile began. Well, the ear, and we can also comment from what it says, so she put him in Miriam is from Mar, bitter. She put him in this box put him in the Nile River, and she stood far away. Miriam omitted that Miriam stands up al yadei by means of Moses. Omitted al yadei Moses, and Miriam stands up. Miriam is the service of God in the time of exile. Miriam is stood up by Moshe. Moshe made her stand up. So in other words, this Miriam, our service to God in the time of exile is made stand up by means of Moses. Moshe is the leader of every generation, the Rebbe. The Pol Lahatzalato Shel Minayar, in order to save him from the river. To the degree Bat Paro, when Bat Paro came to the river, Bito Shel Paro, and the queen, the daughter of the king of Egypt, and he was ruling the whole world, she was standing on the river, Shemor ala Tokef, the Malchut. So it shows that she was ruling over the river of Paro. But nevertheless, what happened? That Paro's daughter, Paro was the source of all evil. His daughter actually saved Moses. So it shows that Miriam serving God in these bitter times because of Moshe, this causes even the non-Jews and our enemies to transform and to help the Jews. So we're talking again about the second service of God, which is Eretz in the time of exile. So Hosif, so it says in the end of the sentence, it says that Miriam stood before Paro's daughter saved them. It says that Miriam stood far away. She's far of that she should know what's going to be done with him, what's going to be done with Moses. Marumas, this hints at this shows that Miriam, the service of the Jews in the time of exile, she stood up by means of Moses, the leader of the Jewish people, and she waited to see what's going to be. Ladat, to know what's going to be. Know that the Jewish people, by means of the exile, they can come to know God. Leiv ladat be'enaim lirot. They have a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear. That's what Moses said to the Jewish people right before they went into the land of Israel, that we've been wandering 40 years. You didn't have a heart that knows, eyes that see, ears that hear until this day. Because that's the whole idea of the Jewish people serving in exile. Back then, Moses said it because the Jewish people served in exile for 200 years. Now we have an exile of 2,000 years. That's represented by Miriam, Mar, this bitter service of God in the time of exile. It says, but at the end, you're going to get this big reward. You're going to have a heart to know God, eyes to see, and ears to hear. But and even more. Gam bebechinas ma. It says that Miriam was standing to know ma. This level of ma, we said, if you remember, we learned in the Chassidut before, ma is total surrender to God. 45, one of the numerical values of one of God's names, is total surrender to God. This ma yaseh lo, ma, which is total surrender to God, becomes lo to him. What does it mean to him? Drawing down godliness and all of the emotions. Lamed Vav, which is 636, 6 times 6, which is 6 emotions, each one included of 6. In other words, all of your emotions, lo, are connected to ma, to this total surrender and harmony with God. Okay, so now let's talk about these two different types of fruits. We have grapes. The sentence doesn't say grapes, it says Zayit Shemen. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Not grapes, olives. Olives. It doesn't say olives, it says olive oil. Olives and dates. Olives and dates, that is representing some sort of service of God now in the time of exile. We already said olives are bitter. That's a bitter service of God in exile. And the Rebbe related that also to Miriam. Miriam means bitter, and Miriam is the service also, the same thing, serving God now in the time of the exile. When there's godliness is not revealed, confusion reigns. Serving God in those situations, very bitter, that's represented by the olive. Olive is bitter. But by means of this, there comes out shemen, olive oil, zayit shemen. That's what it says in the Torah. The Torah doesn't say zayit. It says zayit shemen. It says olive oil. Kamaim Razal, like the rabbis say, zayit, that olive does not bring out its oil, ella ayadei katisha, only when it's crushed. Sharomas, this indicates, and penimiyat the Torah, the inside of the Torah. Rozin de rozin, the secrets of secrets, which are in the Torah. Sheikar shlemos, that the main, and that's the oil. It only can be brought out when the Jews are crushed. The Jews, that we've been crushed enough, 2,000 years. This is talking about the true secrets of the Torah, which are going to come in the future. After, and by means of hakdamas masenu, by means of preceding our service, our deeds and our service all the time of exile. So that's what it means, these two types of serving God in exile. Olives and olive oil and dates. We didn't get the dates yet. Olives are bitter. Olive oil is talking about the secrets of the Torah, and we get that by means of being crushed, which we have done sufficiently in the time of exile. Bitterness, bitter service of God. Okay, then the last fruit is dvash. Dvash is dates. Dvash tamorim, but it doesn't say dates. It says dvash, honey. The honey of dates, right? The honey of dates. There's a thing, what is it called in Hebrew? There's a name for it. I don't even, we even have some. Anyway, the dates, honey, if you leave dates long enough, so honey comes out of them. The sap comes out. It's honey, it's very sweet. Shetzemichas hatamorim, that it says an interesting thing. And the Talmud, it says that from the time you plant a date pit, and it grows up to a tree that brings out fruits, it's 70 years. It takes 70 years for a grape pit to grow into to actually produce new fruits, a tree that produces fruits. Shamora, this shows a riba avoda, that much service, vehegia, yoter, much service and much effort. It requires more than any of the other fruits. You have to work 70 years. You have to work on this tree until it brings out fruits. They say by means of this, but it becomes dvash. It becomes not just dates, but it becomes the honey of dates. This is talking about dvash is sweet. It shows on the complete revelation of the inside of the Torah. How does honey also indicate the inside of the Torah? We just finished saying that olive oil is talking about the secrets of the Torah. It says honey also, like the rabbis say in the sentence, Tavash v'chalav tachat loshonech, honey and milk under your tongue, in Shir HaShirim. It's one of the sentences in the Song of Songs. And there, if you look over there, the commentary is talking about the secrets of the Torah. Yesh L'Kasher, we can attach this also to the Parsha of the week, that from this Parsha of the week is blessed all the days of the coming week. And what is in, and also the days of the past week also is blessed, and that is included in one of the days is that's blessed by this week's Torah portion is Tu Bishvat, the Rosh Hashanah Le'ilan, the New Year's Day of trees. What is this week's Torah portion that we can learn this lesson from? Vayehi b'shalach Paro ata'am. When Paro sent the Jewish people, Paro evicted the Jews from Egypt. When Paro evicted the Jews from Egypt. You read the Golos, by means of the Jewish people coming down into exile in the land of Egypt. Like we said, the second time it says the word Eretz in that sentence that we were talking about with the fruits. By the Jews coming down into this difficult, impossible exile, there resulted ha'ilui ashlemos b'shalach Paro. There came an elevation, a new thing that Paro helped the Jewish people, and also the word Paro. Remember we talked about this last week. Boil Paro. Paro means a revelation. Et Pariu, like Priya. At Galim Minei Kol Nehorim, all the lights are revealed. By means of this is made also a Kenisa Le'eretz Tova Rachava. Also, this enabled the Jews to come into the land which is good and wide. Eretz Chita Osora, the land of wheat and barley. Eretz Zeit Shemen Udavash, the land of olives and olive oil and dates and the honey of dates, but tachlit hashleimut, and the ultimate completion. In other words, Paro actually helped and evicted the Jews, and that's what's going to happen after the exile. That the whole entire world will come to help the Jews. Well, which sort of, it's not that hard to understand that a thing like this is going to happen now. There's a lot of Gentiles, first of all, now that are siding with the Jews, if for no other reason than the opposition is so ridiculously evil and insanely destructive. Just transparently so. Transparently so. And so there's a lot of non-Jews that are siding with the Jews now. They're siding with the Jews, and they're arguing in favor of the Jews. Especially they're arguing in favor of the Jews that what do you want from them? Why do you hate them? What's the point? They're just doing what any other nation would do if similarly attacked. What's the problem? Why is all of a sudden people are starting to realize, and especially the Jews are starting to realize, that there's something here that's not logical. There's something here that's above any reason. People are not, you want to hate, so you hate the Israeli army, hate the Israeli government. No, they're hating all the Jews. What have we got? Some of these Jews are the same Jews that were against Israel. They were against anything that has any sign of Jewish identity. They were against. They were against it. And now all of a sudden they realize that everybody's against me. Why? I was with you guys. What's going on? It says Paro himself, the world, is helping the Jews, is sending the Jews. It says that's only a preparation for the Jews realizing what really a Jew is, and by that realizing what God is. that God is the creator, because the Jews are chosen by God, and that's why everybody hates us, because there's no other explanation. It doesn't make any sense. It says that's the thing that's going to be revealed, and which is being revealed, and that's hinted at by this week's Torah portion, as we're going to talk about, God willing, more tomorrow.